What's going on, guys? Welcome to the live Q&A, and I'm also doubling these up as a Strong Life podcast. So today is August, I believe it's the 15th, Monday. It's 8:30 p.m., kicking this off a little bit earlier than the 9 o'clock promise time, but I got home a little bit earlier than expected. So looking forward to answering your questions. Training questions, business questions, strength and conditioning. Some of you like to have lifestyle questions. Kind of blend it all together with a strong life. And kick it all off, I'll give you guys a little inside look at today's training. This morning, took my kids with me to the gym. And my son is really into the trap bar deadlift. You know, I tell him not to do it, he does it. Ori Ortega, welcome, underground strength coach. I used the axle bar, so I did snatch grip deadlifts. I did 5 sets of 3 to 5 reps, and then I did regular deadlifts, 5 sets of 3. I also warmed up with sleds and all kinds of ring exercises. Jim is here. Jim is the creator of the band bell. You guys have seen my videos using the band bell. I used it again today for carries, and give some thumbs up right here. Those of you listening on iTunes, you got to follow my personal profile, which is linked here on the blog at undergroundstrength.tv. So it's Z Evanesh, facebook.com Z Evanesh. You got to follow me. Maxed out on friends. So after I did my deadlifts, I did a circuit. I did bottoms up kettlebell carries. I did bent over rowing with the trap bar. I did all kinds of band exercises, pulling from various angles. Things that I couldn't even explain, only could record them. I mean, I was doing tricep work. I was doing all kinds of like shoulder pulling exercises, abduction, adduction, a lot of different stuff. Adrian Harvey, thanks for stopping by. And, I think most definitely tore my labrum in the left shoulder. And basically at a point now where, and I think we're all at this point, well, first of all, if you're my age, it's like, shit, you don't want any more surgeries. The body just accumulates mileage, and big guys can't do certain moves. We don't have like the space in our shoulders or the mobility. Matt Wichlinski's here. Thanks for coming, Matt. So I'm also at a point where I'm starting to put my trust into forward-thinking medicine, meaning we're going to get to a point in time where it's not just where a doctor's going to say, look, man, we got to do surgery on your knee, your shoulder. Where they're going to say, well, listen, your XYZ ligament tendon is torn. I'm going to inject this ABC liquid in you, and you'll be good to go in 2 hours. You could go back to snatching that barbell. Or, you're in the NFL, you tore your ACL. I'm going to inject you in your knee. You'll sit out this game, but go back to practice on Wednesday. You're good to go. So I honestly believe that's where things are going to be. That doesn't mean you disregard mobility and whatnot. Matt's saying, how many times has your training style changed up over the years? Matt, you and I met in Quantico, Virginia at the CrossFit Certification Level 1. That was, I believe, 2007, September. I wasn't having any injuries. I had come off my ACL surgery, so I only had 2 knee injuries. So I was doing, the typical style of training that you and I were following. You were doing more weightlifting. My injuries changed a lot of things, my shoulder especially. My left shoulder was problematic. Same thing with my knee since high school, the left shoulder. I remember dumbbell benching with a friend, and my elbows were out, and it felt like somebody was stabbing my shoulder. So I went elbows in, and my shoulder didn't hurt. So, since age 15, my shoulder was problematic. By the time I think I was 32, it was more and more problematic. And I always regret the story I tell people when I went to Israel at age 13, and Andre, the weightlifting champion from Romania, he never said, you know what, you're an idiot. Come back to this gym tomorrow morning, and then every afternoon, and I'm going to show you how to power clean and snatch. And I always say that could have changed my life, because weightlifters have the best mobility, because weightlifting is the mobility for them. So, Amir, thanks for coming by, my man. So my training, if anything, it's always been kind of these quote unquote functional full body workouts. And it's always been working around an injury. The time that it changed the most was when I did that 6 month of bodyweight bodybuilding. Yes, general principles remain the same. Application and methods vary based on current needs. Matt, you're the best. I swear, Matt, I wish, I got to get Matt Wachlinski on the horn again for a Strong Life podcast. You and I could talk about training forever. The one thing I will emotionally miss is pulling weights and throwing weights overhead. Clean and press, snatch, whether it's dumbbells, kettlebells. I was starting to learn the barbell lifts, but I think my body at this point, it's just not built for going overhead. Joe DeFranco often says, train your upper body, train your bench press like a powerlifter, train your back like a bodybuilder. Joe was kind of known for not going overhead with athletes, minus in the summertime when they would kind of do their cycle of strongman training. For whatever that was, 4 weeks or 6 weeks. So my overhead work is minimal or non-existent. I think I'll eventually get back to Turkish get-ups. I'm not going to bench press anymore. And I remember the day I got hurt, I was having an amazing workout. But I remember saying when I was going to incline bench, said, just use the Swiss bar. But I used the straight bar. That workout, I was doing all kinds of, activation, prehab, rehab stuff. I was doing one-arm rows using the Rolling Thunder, a lot of stuff. And a little shift, and boom, I felt something literally explode in my shoulder. Tanya Thomas says, beast mode. Your hashtag should say, not beast mode. But today, I kicked ass in training, and I'm at that point where I'm not going to let injuries fuck with my mind. Michael McLaughlin asks, talk about the mindset you look for in athletes and people you like to work with. Listen, I had my kids in the gym with me today, and I said, you don't yawn here. It's very hard for me to switch my mind inside the underground strength gym because I just want people to be great. I believe they could be great, and I don't like when people are like, oh, I can't, it hurts, it's this, it's that, I deal with athletes where it's like, dude, you could be awesome, but you won't stretch your hips for 3 minutes a day. You could be awesome, but you want to wake up at 12 noon all summer long and eat one bowl of cereal. It's like, I just can't. I can't. So I want hard charging motherfuckers. That's what I want. Ori says, you know what, bro? I'm just lucky. I always mix shit up. Ori, I also think like your build, your physique, you're more of that Spartan physique. You have the mobility. Somebody like me, I've got that kind of like, I'm more of like a mesomorph. I'm more of like a thicker build, not the most flexible and mobile. So, but you're true, man. I don't know if it's luck. I don't know what it is. It is what it is. So, yes, absolutely. It's a lot of mindset. And my injuries, I wonder if it is a message to me from the gods or whatever of how to be a better coach for these athletes. But sometimes I feel like I get too scared. And Louis Simmons will often say, the safest exercises are often the least effective. There will always be a little bit of a risk putting a bar on your back, squatting. There's a little bit of a risk deadlifting. But what's your other choice? Sit home on the couch and just become the couch. I say, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Meaning, if you don't even try, if you don't even attempt to be a savage in the gym, you won't know what it's like to push the envelope. You will always play it safe. And those athletes, they don't really make it, to the highest levels. Because as soon as it gets a little uncomfortable, they're like, I can't do it anymore. It's too much. So there's auto-regulation, there's listening to your body, and there's overreaching, which is okay. I got to get one more set in. I've got to push this a little bit further. Or you know what? I'm going to take a little rest here. I'm going to do 3 more sets of sleds. So there's certain exercises that give you a little more of a safety factor when you're pushing to a higher level. What other questions do you guys have? I love doing the training questions, the business stuff. I like to do it all. So I like kind of anything that's related to the topic of strength and conditioning. So if it's running a gym, helping other coaches, that fires me up. Matthias Turner says, do you think different types of carries could help you and other athletes with shoulder injuries like yours? You know, everybody's built differently, and that's why I'm more and more careful with saying, yes, go follow this program of mine, that program of mine. So Matthias, I would have to see the physique. Let's say somebody's very, frontal and they're slouched over. They would do lighter farm walks, but in a retracted position. If their lat and shoulder mobility is very poor, I'm not going to go overhead with them. I'm going to do stretches and mobility to open up the lats and the mid back and the upper back. So it really depends. I am going to continue doing carries. I'm not going to go overhead. My movements are much more controlled, meaning if you saw me training, a couple years ago, you'd see me doing all kinds of plyo push-ups, crossover push-ups on a medicine ball. You'd see more of an aggressive motion. Now you'll see more of pausing, controlled, and I do what I can versus the people that are like, well, I can't lift the way I lifted when I was 20. Well, you're fucking 40, you're 50. Shit changes, and that's it. Mark wants to know what I was reading today. Winners Never Cheat, Even During Difficult Times by John Huntsman. Love that book. In fact, I bought another one today because I gifted it to one of the wrestlers I used to work with at Lehigh. Michael wants to know thoughts on the Omega Wave training. Listen, the Omega Wave, it's very scientific. What about the mindset? I mean, we could follow the perfectly scientific program, but if that athlete, it depends on the sport. If you're an MMA fighter and everything's based on science and not building a savage and a warrior, then what's going to happen when somebody just goes toe-to-toe stand-up and decides not to be a skilled fighter? That stuff happens in MMA. So we need to develop the mind. There's no two ways about it. So I believe in the art of training, and that is the blending of science and practical application, changing things on the fly. Adrian Harvey says, that's one of the best things I learned when I first started with kettlebells, was learning where the limit really was. I'm thinking about getting a small sled. Any recommendations? Let me see that. Any fun newfound gym items? I found a boulder that's been fun, but wow, difficult. Yes, if you watch Bud Jeffries, so inspirational on Instagram, and I know he's down in Florida. So I've been doing a lot of band work. I purchased the band bell. I'm loving it. And getting a small sled, absolutely. I mean, Westside Barbell, Elite, Rogue, Sorenex, Black Widow training gear, or make your own, Go on Google Images and type in make sled, and you'll find stuff. Billy Burkhart, Edison High School, what's happening? The bench isn't getting my chest any bigger. Any tips more to get out of it? Yes, you got to, if you're focusing on kind of bodybuilding, Billy, then you've got to mix it up. Do floor presses, use different barbells if you have access to them. Try doing close grip benching. Also try pause benching, meaning the bar stops on your chest for 2 seconds, blast. And don't always do fast. Don't always do slow. You have to mix it up when you're doing the bodybuilding work. Try different angles, and also try doing the bench press maybe second in your workout. So you might start off with various push-ups or various dumbbell benches at different angles, and you kind of pre-fatigue the chest, and now your body has to work a little bit harder under the barbell. Or he's saying he's going to check out the band bell. I'm loving it. I'm not going to bench with it. I'm going to carry it, and maybe some other stuff. But right now, carries are what I'm doing. My pleasure, Adrian. Bronson wants to know the best way to start working strength with young athletes besides bodyweight. Great question. Light kettlebells, light medicine balls, sleds, and band work. And your bodyweight stuff is only limited by your imagination. If you go inside undergroundstrengthcoach.com, the Underground Strength Academy, type in bodyweight or type in bodyweight university. We also have wrestling seminars that I recorded. You'll see the gymnastics warm-up I do. so you could implement that stuff. Sean Willis, knowing what you know now, how would you diversify your resources, money you've earned between your business, family, or betterment of yourself? One thing I really want to do, Sean, is get a house and rent it out. I ran into a friend yesterday, and he purchased a dual family house about 15 years ago, and he lived in one side, rented out the other side. So it's something that something I definitely want to do. I also would like to own the gym building rather than renting. For example, I've been renting one of my locations for 9.5 years, and if you do the math, just shy of $2,000 a month. That money is gone. So I want you to think about that stuff. And also, research guys that are smarter than me in those areas. Ramit Sethi, who has I Will Teach You How to Be Rich, and Tim Ferriss did some good interviews with Tony Robbins. And you got to just study all the greats. Jonas DeFess, my buddy, my best friend. Jonas DeFess is a big reason why people call me quote unquote successful. This guy has pulled me through the toughest times. How do I get my friends to visit New Orleans? Oh man, I don't know, dude. You're the best. I like how you put me on the spot. Jonas knows that I'm just not a traveling guy. I'm a homebody, and I told him it's a shame all my best friends live in air. It's all got to get to an airplane. Got to get to an airplane. So that's also been the power of the internet. I met friends through the internet, through this kind of fitness, strength and conditioning business. So it's been really cool. And Jonas is I have to get him on the Strong Life podcast. This guy's awesome. He gave me 1 thumbs up. Oh my goodness. What other questions you guys have? I like these questions, and I'm going to roll till 9 o'clock, maybe a little bit later, because I did promise people. I said this morning 9 p.m., but my family's waiting upstairs. They're watching the Olympics. I got to say this about the Olympics. I'm pretty bummed out that I have to find wrestling online or on an app, but I could watch speed walking on TV. It's like, I wonder, how did they come up with these ideas? I wonder, were they all in a room smoking pot saying, we should not show wrestling? Speed walking. People want to see speed walking. Matthew says, when you going to get Cosgrove back on the podcast? Still one of my favorites. Matthew, believe it or not, 3 hours ago, Alan sent me a text message saying, I owe you another podcast. Alan's the best. We will be doing that probably in the fall. My summer schedule is nuts with my kids home. It has thrown a monkey wrench in the schedule. Matthias Turner, favorite books. The Encyclopedia of Underground Strength and Conditioning, mind-blowing. Any of the Westside Barbell books. Joe DeSena's book, Spartan Up, I loved it. Natural Born Heroes is here on my desk. Super Squats, I've got a lot of old books. Winners Never Cheat, Even During Difficult Times, John Huntsman. Live Your Truth, Kamal Ravikant. I mean, these books that just speak to you. I love it. Of course, Arnold's book, Education of a Bodybuilder. I mean, I've done a lot of videos on my favorite books. Check them out. I'm looking here. Turning Pro is probably the book I gift most. War of Art is awesome. I'm looking up here at books. Lone Survivor and No Easy Day were big. They just gave me a kick in the ass. They made me want to get tough. So I love those books. And the first book that changed my life was Awaken the Giant Within. I was about 20 years old reading that. And I remember I was 18 when I read the book Rogue Warrior. I remember a guy at Pacific Sunwear in the mall in 1994 says, you got to read this book. And that's when I read it. Vincent says, brainstorm ideas for exercises and routines for outdoor no equipment group. I mean, if I was outside, I would bring some stuff. I would tell the people, bring 1 kettlebell. We would do tons of bodyweight stuff. I'd bring some medicine balls. I would definitely have stuff, because I think if you're just doing bodyweight, people get bored. They will eventually get bored. I remember I used to run a power camp for athletes And what I would do is I'd warm them up in the gym, the basketball gym. Then I would take them into the weight room. Then I would take them outside and we would do sandbag training, sled work. We did group stuff. So it was like each person in the group had to do 5 sandbag shoulders, go around, 5 squats, go around, 5 clean and press, go around. We would do relay races. It was off the cuff. Then I would take them to the elementary school and do playground workouts. So a lot of cool stuff I did. Gabriel Villarreal, I want you to know I mailed out your Underground Strength Coach shirt. You're waking up at 4 a.m. to do your coaching. Awesome, my man. Post up questions in our private Underground Strength Coach group. Bronson wants to know, big goal to have small underground gyms worldwide. Yeah, I'm starting to think that basically, not so much worldwide, but the big convenience factor is what people really want. Like, think of Amazon. People don't want to shop as much. They want things faster, cheaper, and receiving them faster. So my next gym is going to be inside of a building with a wrestling club. That's where we'll get most of our athletes from. There's also going to be jiu-jitsu, boxing, and MMA in there. But the convenience factor, when a parent has to drive here, then drive the other kid there, then get here, they just run out of time and resources. Tyler says, thanks for all your insights on training and life. My pleasure. Yes, the athletes love the variety. Angel, welcome to the show. Ori says, I'm thinking about having a different type of training every Saturday, more like an event type. Yes, live music, underground Saturdays, absolutely. People love it. Travis Mash does Max Out Friday, and we do Max Out Friday as well. We took the idea from him. Caden says, you got a favorite quick mental toughness workout or finisher for anyone who needs a push? It's amazing how people get rocked doing simple things. You send them doing some sprints, some farmer walks, some sled work, and it's amazing how people get rocked. But our athletes, the ones that are well trained, they kick ass. Our finishers are always sled drag for 200 feet, kettlebell swings, back extensions, carry a keg, carry a sandbag, 10 heavy dumbbell rows. They're in shape. Ori's asking, should I open it up to the public or should I make it more of a bring a friend? In business, everything's an experiment. And what might work at one gym and you own the same gym, maybe the other town, it'll work in one, won't work in the other. So you got to experiment. Not only that, sometimes it's not just the location. Sometimes it can be the time of year where something works well versus when it doesn't work well. But if you're bringing friends, make it super basic. Lito Sanchez. Carlos wants to know when's the next fundraiser. In the fall, we will do the Navy SEAL Foundation fundraiser. And my friends at Train Heroic are doing Lift Up for Autism. So I believe it's liftupautism.com. And I just want to spread the word about that as well. A lot of people doing great stuff out there. Sometimes I can't even keep up with all the different things going on. Mike is a first-timer here saying, my first time catching you live. It's now almost 4 a.m. here in Kuwait. Mike, thank you so much, bro, from Kuwait. I wonder if you're in the military. My question is, how do you divide your goals? Do you categorize them as short, medium, and long-term? You write them down daily, monthly, yearly. Excellent. I always have kind of the bigger goals, and then I reverse engineer things quarterly and monthly, and also day-to-day. I usually just want to get 3 critical actions done, 3 big things. So this morning, it was you got to get the podcast up, you got to get the gym workouts up, and you got to get the newsletter out to the gym and to the Strong Life newsletter from Zach Evnesh. So I do these small things that it's like it builds success. And once I get those 3 most important things done, from there, it's kind of like, okay, now everything after this is kind of icing on the cake. So my goals are super important, having a target. And also I have a whiteboard here in my office. I think it's about 4 feet by 6 feet, something like that. And I have 2 of them. So having a big whiteboard is very critical. And I have one where I have the months on the top. So it's September, October, November, December. I usually have 4 or 5 months looking ahead. And each month has like a big some sort of event going on. Not necessarily an event like in my gym, but it could be something that I'm promoting happening online. For example, in September. So this week I have 2 business meetings Wednesday. In September, I have a pretty important business meeting with somebody for online, possibly 2 important business meetings. So I'm always moving, the needle forward, because what I've learned is the most successful people, it's not like they're smarter than me. I'm not the smartest guy, but sometimes I see other people, I'm like, that dude's not that smart either. But they're gutsy, they build a team, and they move quick. They just say, fuck it. They just go for it. And it's like, whatever. So I almost didn't want to open this 3rd gym, and then I was like, man, I won't fail. I just can't. I cannot be stopped. I know it almost sounds arrogant, maybe crazy, but the bottom line is like, I don't allow myself to not succeed. And I've learned that through wrestling and through overcoming injuries and tough times in my early days. And now I feel like I'm a fucking savage that, if somebody wants to try to like put my gym out of business, even if you kill me, my gym won't go out of business. Like, I just feel like that's my attitude. So I hope that helps you out, my man. Jim, thank you again. Jim's here from Bandbell. How would you introduce a new concept, never before seen, possibly would be a game changer for athletes using resistance trainer? How would you keep the really big equipment companies from stealing it, even if you have a patent? I'm not patent knowledgeable, Jim. I understand that's extremely important to have patents in the U.S. and overseas. But if I felt like it was truly something big, I would reach out to the people I trust, and I would bring them in for kind of like an in-house seminar. And we would utilize the equipment or the method. Hope you guys are there. It said poor wireless connection. So I would bring them in, I would record it, and I would get their honest feedback. I'd say, guys, girls, gals, tell me the truth. Does this idea suck? What do you think? And you need them to be honest. I always tell my athletes, I go, hey, if I lie to you and tell you that you're killing it, but you're not, am I helping you? I'm a shitty coach if I do that. But I'm going to tell you straight up, you need to eat better. Your mobility sucks. You got a big gut, and you could be a savage, but you don't want to be a savage. You're showing me you don't. So get the truth out there. And Jim, I understand that having trustworthy friends is difficult. Sometimes I thought I had trustworthy friends, and I've seen some of the, I understand your concerns, but I think the abundance mentality, sometimes you just got to say, fuck it, and you got to go for it. The fitness industry is, I'm sure it's like that in many other industries, but it's amazing how people are your friends, and then all of a sudden they see a couple extra dollar bills, and they're like, hey, dude, peace out. I'll take the money over your friendship. So think it through, Jim. Invite a very small group of friends to experiment with. Ted Rasmussen, what's happening, buddy? What company do you use for t-shirts? Matt Albrizio, Forever Fierce. He takes care of everything for me. Litos, Carlos Sanchez. Mark Smelly Bell had that problem with a slingshot. Yes, but Mark Bell's also, he's a savage. He's like, fuck it. Keep trying to steal that shit from me. I'm the guy that tore both of my pecs off, almost broke my back. I'm naming this thing after my brother who's passed away. Nobody has more of an emotional heart that's going into this product than me. And that's when you win. You see, he always says, I love money. I like to be rich. But he wasn't always like that, guys. Things that people don't know about Mark is this. I'm going to tell you guys a very quick story. Mark, 6 years ago, him and Jesse Burdick were going to do a seminar at my gym. I said, let's crush this. Let's do it. Mark and I would speak through phone and text and email. And we couldn't give the seminar away. We had one person signed up. Mark was one of the best powerlifters in the country. I don't know. He was up there. Jesse Burdick, they were elite. Mark had squatted 1,100 pounds. The powerlifters at the gym next door weren't even signing up. I kept telling Mark 3 times. I said, Smelly, let's just cancel this seminar. I'm trying so hard to get people here. Nobody's coming. After the 3rd or 4th time I called him, he goes, dude, shut the fuck up, man. I'm flying out to New Jersey to teach somebody to be strong, and I don't fucking care if it's one person. I'm teaching them how to be strong. And this was a turning point in my life, because not only did he show up, we found a way. We got people to sign up for one day. We gave it away. We created a lot of video. But Jesse Burdick was living in California. His brother passed away, and Jesse went to, I think, somewhere in New York where the funeral was, and literally did the funeral, and then was at the seminar a day or two later, killing it. I'm telling you guys now, everybody around the world, it was the best seminar that nobody heard of. It was amazing. And you want to know why? It was because people are fucking cheap. People don't want to spend or invest $200, $300 in a seminar, but everybody will buy a $400 barbell or fucking socks that look cool or all this bullshit. When it's time to get under the bar and learn from somebody, everybody wants a discount. And that pissed me off. That turned me off to doing live seminars. Cheap stuff attracts cheap people. You know, don't be the Groupon of fucking strength and conditioning. Sorry, guys, I missed questions here. Matthew says, missed it, sorry. What are your current goals in the gym? You know, now that my shoulder's fucked up, I might start chasing a 600-pound deadlift. Might. I'm 40, you know, so sometimes for me, it's not so much the numbers. I just want to feel like a badass. I know that's a very generic, general, blanket statement. How the fuck do you feel like a badass? But I just like training hard. I'm not even worried about the numbers. Ted, tell what's up to your son, Nick. I will try to watch my language. Michael says, classes and personal training has gotten crazy busy, which is a great thing. Not finding necessary time to train, starting at 5:30, ending at 5:30. I hear you, my man. Why don't you start consolidating stuff? Your slower classes might need to get canceled, and start doing groups and raise your rates for personal training. Because if you're too cheap and personal training, I just don't like it. Somebody cancels on you last minute. I do everything as a group. That's the bottom line. People that want all that one-on-one shit, I feel like they're either, you know, baby boomers who really need it and have the money, but not too many athletes need one-on-one. Mike says, I work an office job, but I'm slowly transitioning to strength conditioning. Your YouTube channel and website have helped me. Thanks for giving a detailed answer. My pleasure. And Mike, you don't have to be a full-time strength coach. You could have your full-time job, have your security, and train, you know, other people 1 to 2 hours a night. I've coached people through this many times. I've told them, listen, why you don't even need all the pressure. Run a group every, you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 5:30 p.m. until 6:30. Get 20 people in that group. 20 people paying you $200 a month, doing what you love. It's pretty damn good. Do what you love and don't feel like you got to copy the other coaches out there, okay? Hey, Jim, thanks for stopping by. Charlie, how many times should grappling athletes lift a week? Depends. I answered this in the recent one. What's your goal? Are you extremely weak? Are you getting tapped out because you're weak and out of shape? Or do you need to focus on your grappling? Matt Schifferly says, love your book. Great to have real in the trenches info. Any plans for a sequel? I'm thinking of writing a book that's more of like a turning pro for athletes. That's what I'm thinking. But I've got some projects coming up with the gym, more gyms. I'm not sure, buddy. So the writing needs like me to be locked in a cabin for a week without internet connection. What else did I miss? I'm sorry. Biggest mistake I've made as a coach. Anytime I don't listen to my heart, that's the biggest mistake. Training people who I didn't really want to train, accepting people who I was like, maybe I shouldn't accept them. And, you know, granted, sometimes the wrong people sneak through the cracks. Sometimes the wrong people, you know, they do a trial. You're like, I think I could transform this person. And then their parents end up being very strange, to put things lightly. The kid ends up being very strange, like they don't even give a shit. And, you know, it's like, damn, that person just sucked the energy out of me. So that's always a big mistake for me. Do you advertise your podcast, or has it been organic? I do sometimes Facebook ads, but very rarely for my Zach Evanish stuff. Facebook ads is more for the gym. Chris Perilli in the house, the boss videographer. So I think that, understanding marketing, Matthias, is extremely important. I've been studying that stuff since 2002, and certainly things are different now, meaning we're in a different world now. Back then there was no Facebook when I started, but it's cool because I understand kind of the old and the new of the marketing. Charlie says, should mobility be done every day? Soft tissue work mobility daily. Yes. Carlos, you may not have forgot to mention Operation Thunder. Anything you may not have mentioned in Operation Thunder. I think I'm going to do like an added audio CD to Operation Thunder. Nowadays I'm focused more if I'm opening another gym, it's inside of a sport club for the convenience factor, or it's in a location that has a lot of foot traffic. People are so busy and they don't use Google anymore that I pass by that place over and over. That's the place I need to go to. So people pay attention to things differently nowadays. So I would really focus a little bit more on location, a little more. And I'll probably do like an interview with another person, like a Mr. X who's crushing it. Tyler saying, I grew up in northern Minnesota. Let me know when you want to use the cabin. Nice, dude. Minnesota. Very cool. Jeremy Teal is on here. Jeremy Teal's a great friend. I was just on his podcast recently, and him and I did a business program called Strength Coach Spectrum. It's 9:07. Go till 9:15, guys. What else you guys got? Any other questions? We're firing away pretty good here. I actually bought this shirt when I was with Jeremy in Miami. And I was like, I can't believe this American Apparel shirt is still good. 6 years ago, 2010. I was like, that's a fucking t-shirt right there that you could wash and train with and destroy, and it still fits you good. Look at the pipes, people of America. Left side, right side. Alexander wants to know my favorite books. I mean, you just missed that one, Alexander, so go back to the replay. But Turning Pro is something I've gifted, and I reread often. Winners Never Cheat, even during difficult times. I read it often, and I do a lot of listening to podcasts. So that I can't pull up my podcast, but I'll take a screenshot of it and share it on my Instagram. So make sure you follow me. The podcasts that I listen to. Exponential Wisdom, Power Athlete, Tim Ferriss, Joe Rogan sometimes if he has somebody good on there, The Barbell Life with Travis Mash, James Altucher podcast. Sometimes I just search for a person that I want to learn from, and then I just listen to all the podcasts. Sometimes I don't like to listen to certain podcasts, like I like Tim Ferriss' podcast, but sometimes I feel like the people that they're interviewing, it's like I have a hard time relating to them. And that's why actually somebody asked me, hey, why don't you interview, this guy or that guy? I was like, I don't like to interview those big name people because I feel like sometimes they've lost touch with, like the person that, let's say Tim Ferriss, he's interviewing like the big people that are making millions and billions. What if you just interviewed somebody who's like, hey man, I quit my job and now I make $100,000 a year. Almost like I think he's afraid to like lower himself to that level, and that's where he's at. But I feel like I like listening to those people, like I'm connected to them a little bit more. James Altucher does a great job of just questioning people, interviewing them. It's pretty tremendous. Spartan Up podcast I love, of course. Yep, I just answered that question. When firing clients, do you give them alternatives or just kick them to the fucking curb? Sometimes what I'll say is, listen, you're not following through. It's the beginning of, September. I'm going to give you till the end of September to turn the corner. You've got to start eating and following the guidelines we've given you. You've got to do the mobility at home. You've got to do the bodyweight stuff. If we don't see ABC improvements, then we're just going to take a 6-month break. So I used to just say, boom, done, out. Now I kind of say, listen, let's get on the track here. because if you're not on track, I'm not going to continue doing this. So I give them a little bit leeway. Maybe as I've gotten older, I've turned into a wimp. Caden says, it'd be awesome to hear you and Alan again on the podcast. Thank you from Australia. Yes, he sent me a text message a couple hours ago as I was taking my son into wrestling. He goes, I owe you a podcast. I have not forgotten. So absolutely. Favorite mobility tool, I love the Rumble Roller. And upstairs, I even have my daughter doing this now. I got the Rad Roller. We use the Yoga Tune-Up Kit. I actually have 2 of them, purchased them. So we use the Yoga Tune-Up balls inside the little bag. But man, I think it's called a Battle Star. I purchased that, and that's something from Mobility WOD. So that thing's pretty good on the quads and the calves, tender areas. And I use that stuff often. And I use the bands for distracting and distraction. For hips, shoulders, lats, a lot of that stuff. Let's do 2 more questions, guys. What do you got? Strong Life Podcast live, baby. What do you got? And by the way, guys, some of you have asking a lot of business stuff. On September 1st, I will kick it off, but you could sign up early and get in there and ask questions. I'm doing the Relentless Pursuit of Excellence coaching group. So it's a strength coach brotherhood. Gonna take a handful of coaches into that group. We're gonna be for 3 months, September, October, November. Every week is a new lesson plan. You can ask me any questions you want, online or offline business. And then we're gonna have a get-together in like mid-October or November, probably October-ish, so we don't deal with kind of the holiday stuff, but maybe November. And that's included in the cost. So usually a weekend seminar with me is $1,500, $2,000. And that is included in the investment. So you just got to send me a Facebook message and let me know, hey, I want to be part of the Strength Coach Brotherhood, and it's going to be awesome. It's for people that want to invest and kick ass. Who has impacted your life the most when it comes to mindset? My grandparents. If you read the back of my book, The Dedication, my grandparents escaped the Holocaust. My grandfather fought in the Polish army, the Russian army, and the Israeli army. And my first and middle name are named after his brothers, 2 of his brothers that were killed in the Holocaust. So when I think, oh, poor me, I don't have fucking shit tough. It's not tough at all. Alexander Busk wants to know what it's like to hang out with Joe DeSena. It is like hanging out with the most down-to-earth, blue-collar guy ever. And very fast-going, meaning everything is like moving. So if he's on a business call, he's oftentimes walking with a sandbag on his shoulder with a phone next to his ear. You're constantly training. You're usually training at 5 or 6 a.m. and then training again at 4 p.m. The morning workout is very hard. He usually does it to destroy you. He likes to beat people. And then you have like his basic breakfast is always like 2 eggs and potatoes. But I think that might be the only thing he does now. Then he'll have like a salad at lunch. And then he always has stir fry for dinner. And when we're in Vermont, we go to his general store and always get like these green drinks. And it's all greens. It's legit. I remember first time I went up there, Mark from Seal Fit, Mark Devine, had just finished like 24 hours of nonstop work with him, and Mark crushed 2 of them and bought me 2 of them. So being with Joe, he's so down to earth. It's just, he's all about just working hard. It's cool. And he's a Spartan, truly, truly a Spartan. Like for me, I'll fall off, the rocker. Like, okay, my kids are going to go eat ice cream. I'll have ice cream. Joe, he's like, no ice cream. No ice cream. One more question, guys. 9:15. I think it's a good one. Hey, David says yes. He carried a burger up the mountain. We did a pretty steep mountain. It went like this, zigzag, zigzag. He carried it in this brown paper bag. It was a burger wrapped in 1 piece of lettuce. And yes, 2 of the guys in our group, we had just eaten lunch. 2 of the guys in our group not only had lunch, but they crushed chocolate milk. and we went up this hill. It was the second hill. It was like 2 miles up, some pretty vertical stuff. And Joe was not I was like, the bag was like not wrinkled. I was like, damn it. I remember thinking to myself, if that bag was in my hand while I was walking up the hill, it would have been like wrinkled and like the burger would have been destroyed. And Joe gets to the top of the mountain, sits down calmly, and just, I was like, damn, that is a whole nother level of fitness and mentality. And it was cool. Being friends with Joe it's just like being friends with him. You text message him, he text messages you back. It's amazing that my friends that are maybe one millionth of a percent as busy as Joe can't text me back or email me back. And I do believe that your real friends will text you back. The friends that are too busy to text you back, man, dude, no good. Let's leave it as that. Strong Life Podcast. Your real friends text you back. Guys, don't forget, if you want to do the Strength Coach Brotherhood, Relentless Pursuit of Excellence, send me a private Facebook message. And I hope some of you got in Underground Strength Academy with the special t-shirt. Been uploading a lot of awesome stuff. And this will go up on zachevanesh.com. That's the same as undergroundstrength.tv. So I'll post up some show notes, some links to the online certification, undergroundstrengthcert.com. And I hope everybody's enjoying the Olympics, and I hope you enjoyed speed walking on TV. And that's it, guys. Strong life is the best life. Thanks for all your support. Matt Vanchuk, what's happening, my man? Shutting it down, Matt. Thanks for stopping by. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.